Thanks. So let's start off here. I'll start with you, Brady. Tell us about your brand and what differentiates it.
Sure. So we operate in a market that's had some competitors that have been there for 100 years, big brands, some of them maybe a little bit uptight. I won't obviously name any names, but people that have been selling high-end outdoor furniture for many years. We saw how expensive it was. We saw kind of their processes, their lead times, what the customer experience was like, and we kind of tried to do the opposite. So we're very fast. If you call us today, we're probably getting you your deliveries next week or even sooner. If you call the website phone number, my cell phone will ring probably 3/4 of the time. The people that are working with the customers are the ones that are really invested in their experience. And as a result, people, love what they're getting from us and are happy to, share the experience and refer us to their friends and family when they're looking for outdoor furniture.
Alfred, to you?
Yeah, sure. And I think the thing I noticed from Brady, I think every startup or great company starts with there's got to be a better way, right? And so I think with TB12, it traces back to the origins of Tom and Alex Guerrero, our business co-founder.
Tom Brady.
Tom Brady, that
was a joke.
And they took a different approach to training and keeping Tom healthy throughout his career in the NFL. And it's really been a huge part of Tom's longevity. And really at TB12, what we're trying to do is take the methodology and the lessons that Tom and Alex have applied to Tom's career and to bring them to the masses, to help people live healthier lives, to be in less pain, to perform better at whatever that task that they want to accomplish is, or whatever that goal that's downstream for them, and just challenge the status quo when it comes to how we've treat our bodies and approach health and wellness, and ultimately just live longer, more prosperous lives. So it's been really cool to be a part of. I think for me, being at a mission-based organization and really focusing on wellness outcomes and seeing the benefits from the clients we serve has been really profound and awesome to be a part of.
Great, thank you. And obviously, if we'll leave time at the end for questions. So, a little bit of an audible, speaking of Tom Brady, but Isaiah and Jared brought up something, so I'm just curious to ask you both. What with your brand, do you have stores? Are there plans to have any physical locations? Or I bring that up just because Jared was talking about consumers want to get back in stores.
Sure.
Yeah, go ahead, Brady.
So we've kind of always been a hybrid of an e-commerce company and a brick and mortar type business. I think with furniture, a lot of people want to see it and touch it before they buy it. You can't just accomplish that with AR. You need to get it in front of people. We do have a warehouse that has a small showroom where people come in. Maybe we have 100 people a year that come through. Really, for us, we're happy to bring furniture to people's homes for them to see it, even if they haven't bought it yet. So you could call me and say, I really love this set, and we'll talk through configurations, and we'll bring a truck full of furniture to your home with some extra pieces. We'll put in your patio, really reduce all the friction for shopping online to where, we're really getting it in front of you soon. And if you like it, you can buy it. If you don't, we'll take it back. And obviously, most times, people are buying it. So,
thank you.
Yeah, and just to piggyback off that, I think, TB12, we have a similar approach. We want to be high touch and experiential with our customers, really engage with them. The business model for TB12 is really interesting because we have our product side of our business, and then we also have what's kind of, I'll call like our modern sports therapy. We have performance and recovery centers. We're looking to build those out nationwide, and as a huge part of that, we sell product in center, and we have body coaches who they're the ones that apply our methodology and our treatment in center. And so creating that integrated retail environment where we're interacting with the consumer, giving them suggestions, and then also having the product right there for them to be able to check out has been fantastic. We've been able to scale that up with the help of Shopify POSs. So really having that integration between our digital experience and what people would have online, having that centralized with kind of our checkout experience in store has been fantastic. And moving forward, we're looking to expand our retail presence even more significantly. Currently, you can find some of our products in Publix and Whole Foods, which has been fantastic in terms of consumer discovery and trial. And we're certainly looking to expand that model moving forward and really help consumers everywhere get products that are trustworthy and beneficial for their health.
Great, thank you. I should add, if it wasn't clear, they're both on Shopify for e-commerce. I feel like I should have mentioned that at the beginning. Some salesperson I am, good Lord. Anyway, give me a lesson learned. We'll start with you, Alfred. Just over, I'd call it the past 6 to 12 months. What's jumped out at you? Just kind of look at things and be like, wow, that's something that hindsight's 20/20. But just give me a lesson learned.
Yeah, I think that's a great one. And, I think for me, I'm an entrepreneur at heart. I try to view everything through an entrepreneurial lens. And when I'm looking at, the lessons learned over the last 6 to 12 months, I think there's a lot of ambiguity with the market and a lot of uncertainty about what the future holds, both from an e-commerce perspective, from a retail perspective, and around the consumer uncertainty. And I think for me, the biggest lesson I've learned is that in e-commerce and in retail, you need to act fast, you need to listen to the customer, and more than anything, just not be afraid to try things and fail. I think the brands that I've seen over the course of the last 6 months, or even before that during COVID, were the brands that weren't afraid to be innovators, weren't afraid to be contrarian, and really, they saw something and believed in something that other people didn't see. And so through my approach in the work I do and, the lens that I view the business world through, it's always how do you take those calculated risks where if you fail, your business will still be okay and you can take another one, but just not being afraid to take those risks or try something that, to an outsider or to other firms might not look like such a compelling proposition.
I love Alfred's answer. First of all, agree with everything he said, especially, just trying to look forward and maybe think about what's going to happen without reacting to the past. I think a lot of people or businesses are, they can be in trouble right now because they were so busy and they ordered twice the amount of what they sold last year going to this year, and then demand changed. So it's tough to look back and say, okay, this is what last year was like. Let's project this year based on that. There's so many other factors involved. One specific thing for us, I think, just over the 10 years of our business that I wish we maybe paid attention to or followed a little more closely would be like hire slow, fire fast. So we use the website Upwork a lot, which used to be Elance, which has a pool of talent all over the world that you can pull from when you are working on any project. And I think when you have that hole that you're trying to fill at your business, you are quick to say, okay, this is the guy. You even have some confirmation bias around wanting that to be the one, where just a little bit more due diligence goes a long way. And, these people are going to have huge impacts on your company over time. And, you gotta do your DD and you gotta make sure, these people are going to do right by your brand. So,
great, thank you. All right, so it was kind of looking past lessons learned. Let's take a look forward. I'm on the strategic accounts team at Shopify, which is of course a generic name, but really, Shopify's made a more concerted effort to go after larger enterprise brands. So I'm working with prospects who are over 100 million in online revenue or $1 billion in total revenue, and $1 billion in total revenue. Yeah, and I was talking to a brand yesterday. And one of the reasons they're considering Shopify is the uncertain economic times that we are in or are going. It's a little bit confusing. But yeah, to save on cost is one of the reasons they're considering Shopify. So I'll start with you, Brady, in terms of it's not if this economic certain times are a concern. Like, how big of a concern is that? And are you taking any specific next steps to kind of mitigate those risks?
definitely a good question. I think for us, it's all about, our season comes and goes as a patio furniture company in the Northeast. In 4 months, it's gone in a flash. I think moving forward into next year, we're in a position where we have a lot of inventory, which is great. We don't have to get a ton more in, which is helpful. And so we're kind of making sure our foundation is solid. And that's really where we're at right now. We're good. We're healthy. We're looking at next year purely to set us up for the next 5 years moving forward. So.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Alfred,
I think Brady really hit on a key point. I think pessimism is easy, and I think you certainly don't want to be overly optimistic when there's signal trends telling us that there might be some rough waters up ahead. But that said, I think the word that most resonates for me for the current times and strategizing as a business around the current times is all around agility, having that framework that enables quick movement. So, trying to be lean from an inventory perspective, trying to, I know when I look at, what our recurring costs look like, how do we make sure we minimize that and put the business in a good position to be able to weather any storms that come. That said, as an entrepreneur, I know that, most of the best brands and the people that end up really sparking that innovation, creating the brands that are going to be the staples 10 years from now, those are the ones that are being born now, or the companies that are pivoting their business or transitioning or doing something that's really outside of the box. So, it's funny because when I look around, you see a lot of pessimism in the market. You see a lot of people trying to protect for those downside risks. But I think as business leaders, there's certainly a lot of optimism because this is a great opportunity for us to make some strategic changes and come out the other side in a far better position with that flywheel really built up and with a business model that will carry forward through even more positive times. So I think for me, it's really that focus on agility and being lean, but also making those strategic moves to position yourself for long-term success.
Great, thank you. And Alfred, we'll stay with you. Again, we're kind of talking more specific, high-level concept. Give me a specific technology that's been, either a game changer or, you plug it in and it's like, damn, that ROI it's paid for itself in like 2 days. Is there a specific tool that you've really would recommend to the broader audience or has moved the needle for your brand?
Oh yeah, I could ramble on about this for days, but I would say one of the really interesting projects I've been a part of during my time at TB12 was we really made a pretty significant transition in our tech stack to be Shopify Plus focused, and that really bringing the autonomy back to our team and having it be manageable was a huge benefit. And I think the secondary part of that was migrating to Recharge. We were on a different subscription platform prior, and ultimately the consumer experience wasn't where it needed to be for our subscription customers. And for all of us in the e-commerce community, subscribers have that really high LTV. They're the people that are most loyal to the brand. So when it comes to that consumer experience, you want it to be top notch, and you want to be rewarding those consumers for their loyalty. And so for us, taking that transition and becoming Shopify centric, working with Recharge to really hone in on the customer experience and the back end has been transformative. So we've seen a huge growth in our subscriber list and our retention curve in terms of our cohort analysis. So that's been fantastic. I think there's certainly a ton more optimizations. Just to hit on a few quickly, I launched Attentive SMS recently for our brand, so we've seen massive subscriber list growth there and a huge amount of return on investment through that channel. That's been a really great direct channel for us. And we've also been working with some of the signal loss, and I know a lot of us were chatting about this earlier, but with the signal loss, with some of the transition on the Meta and Google platforms, where it's harder to really attack those audiences that we have in the past. There's several tools. I mentioned Disco as one of them in a prior conversation, and Shopify audiences. We're really looking for ways where we can be more efficient with our media spend and make sure our customer acquisition costs are as low as they can be, and we're really getting those those vetted consumers looking at our ads, coming to our site, and ultimately hopefully converting.
Thanks. Yeah, to you, Brady.
So for us, it's funny because the last website, the platform we're on, you're kind of limited to their offerings, and then you go over to Shopify and there's apps on apps on apps, and you have so many new things that you're exposed to that you didn't know before. One of the things that we're just leveling up on is just email marketing and all of our drip campaigns with Klaviyo. Had never heard of it before. It's by no means anything new or sexy, but it really shores up a lot of the foundations for what we want to do, what we want to put out there. And we were doing all these things manually before, or at least not doing them well. So now, just simple things like asking for reviews, referrals, All these things that are now being automated for us are huge because they're just helping grow and build momentum with our existing customers and then be top of mind with our new customers. We were always a little hesitant to be peppering people with emails. We definitely still aren't by any means, but you're in the attention economy now and you need to be top of mind or someone else is going to come in and take your spot. So,
Great, thanks. I had one more question, but I want to make sure. Any questions from the audience before I move on? Pause. Yeah. Go ahead.
Oh, I can talk to that one. I'm sure you have some war stories too. I think inventory management has been a challenge to say the least through the last year or two. One of the exciting projects that I took part in with TB12 was, so when I started, we didn't have an inventory management system whatsoever. So relevant to the e-commerce community, we implemented a tool, an inventory management system called Sin7 that sits in our tech stack between our fulfillment center, ShipBob, and Shopify, and integrates really well with both. So we've found that to be pretty transformative in terms of our efficiencies there, tracking inventory. As I mentioned earlier, we have several retail locations as well, so having an aggregated and centralized database to really analyze our inventory has been huge. That said, there's been continuous struggles. As a brand, our focus is largely in nutrition products, and with that, the subscribability is the key to that. Consumers, they want to build their routine, they want it to be consistent, and so for us, going out of stock is like the worst thing we could ever do, because the last thing we want to do is frustrate those, like I said, high lifetime value, long-term customers. So we've definitely had some out of stocks, and we've seen our lead times across the board in the nutrition space pretty much double. I still think back to when I had my startup and we were doing all of our manufacturing. I could turn a product in 2 or 3 weeks, and now it's 12 to 16 week lead time on anything, which makes the inventory planning, the cash flow, it creates problems and challenges across the board. I think what I've found is that cross-functional communication is huge internally. I think that's the best thing you can do internally, is to make sure everyone's on the same page, everyone understands the situations, and you're being strategic about managing it. And then on the flip side, I think when it comes to the consumer experience, being proactive and honest and transparent with people is key. I think that's one of the things that I've learned is people understand. For the most part, consumers get it. It's been a challenging time for everyone, and they just want you to be honest with them, and they want you to be upfront, and they want to feel, like it's a two-way communication and that there's trust there. So when I've been working with our customer experience team, that's our constant focus. It's okay if we go out of stock. It's okay if something happens, but it's really all about how we manage it and how we communicate to the customer. So yeah, I think it's been a challenging time. I would say from my perspective, where it seems like we're coming out the other side slowly but surely. I'm certainly hopeful things improve, but it's been a challenge for businesses across the board. TB12 is certainly not immune to that, and would happy to follow up on any more specifics there, because I think it's a really important topic of discussion.
I think Alfred answered the question well. For us as a patio furniture company based mostly in the Northeast, we have all year to kind of prepare for that 4 months of business where things are really crazy. Communication is huge. Getting in front of the customer, setting the right expectations is great. We end up just having to build our own system to manage inventory on Google Sheets. We have customers that buy now that want delivery in May. We have customers that buy now that want delivery next week. So there's really no app that can help us with that. And we are forced to kind of go internal and make that system ourselves. So,
got it. Thanks. So I have a question actually for the group, and I'll turn it over to these guys. And I think I know what the answer is. It's going to be based on age. Raise your hand if you're on TikTok. Less than I thought. Okay, interesting. So on a related note, for both of you, and we'll start with you, Brady, though I imagine maybe a little less, is either TikTok or any kind of social commerce, or is that a big part of your marketing strategy at all? If the answer is no, it's okay.
As of now, it is not. We've never been able to prove a great ROAS on Instagram, Facebook. We have not yet tried TikTok.
Yeah, this is a great question, right up my alley. I've got the answer ready to go here. But I started leading performance marketing for TB12 about 6 or 8 months ago, and some of the first actions we took were around social, like really. And I think what's been interesting for TB12 is Tom Brady is obviously massively popular and famous, and for the large part of the business life cycle, he's been our main source of traffic. But I think as we see the content people are looking for and how consumers, are making buying decisions, it's really important for us to diversify our traffic and to raise awareness through A, a variety of channels, and B, a variety of influencers and people that, are sharing the word about TB12. So some of the big initiatives we've took, first and foremost, was signing up for TikTok. We've seen massive growth on the platform. And for us, I think the biggest difference, like, our following on Instagram massively dwarfs our following on TikTok, but I think the really unique thing from a brand perspective on TikTok is the organic reach. On Instagram, it's so much about messaging to your own audience, or using ads to reach new audiences, but those obviously come at a cost. With TikTok, we've seen that the virality is massive. The organic reach on a post can be massive. And for what it's worth, the cost of developing content for TikTok can also be significantly less because people are looking for that more scrappy, that more authentic content is really resonating with people. So if you can do it in a way that's effective within your sales funnel for your business, I think it can be transformative. Expanding on that, one of the big initiatives that I've been working on has been building out a robust platform of influencers to work with TB12's brand. And to really drive traffic. Social proof is so important right now as well. So really, having our influencers, I think consumers have gotten past a point where they understand what transactional influencer relationships look like now, where they know that this is something that's paid. So for me, it really hasn't always been how many influencers we can get or what does their following look like. It's what type of relationship can I cultivate with that individual? What is their authentic connection to the brand? What is the story we can tell through this partnership? And we've found, those type of engagements to have great return. And we've been able to utilize assets in all sorts of ways. So we have influencers post in their own channels for some of the B-roll content or some of the content that might not be a great fit in their channel. We're able to work with our media agencies to create short-form video ads. And then we can also whitelist content that's obviously become a popular and efficient way to attract new audiences and to market in kind of the new digital age. So across the board, I think influencers and social proof has been huge to the growth of our brand. And moving forward, I think as organizations and as businesses, everyone should kind of be sprinting that way. I don't see it changing anytime soon. Because I do think that the authenticity and like when I look at the TikTok made me buy a movement, or my wife was telling me about Clean Talk the other day, all about like how you can more efficiently and better clean your house with cheaper materials or homemade materials. I think that's the way of the world, especially as we come to some of these challenging times ahead. That kind of aggregated content or crowdsourcing ideas, I just think it's awesome and something every brand should be leveraging.
I think you set expectations well when you said this was in your wheelhouse. Good Lord. That's a great answer. Thank you. Thank you. Any other questions? Yeah, Keith, go ahead.
Can Shopify enable e-commerce through TikTok?
Yes. Yeah. It's. I feel like it's interesting. Yeah. No, that's another softball right my way. Yes, Shopify. It started the partnership started in 2020, and then the most recent kind of iteration of that partnership is it's actually like you can shop directly on TikTok, and then we're also alert. I don't know if it's being recorded, but it's okay. Roadmap item. We're gonna have an integrated, allegedly, integrated checkout with TikTok. So that's coming. So that's and on the sales side, is kind of a lot of the stuff, though. Alfred put it way more eloquently than I tend to. I think it's an underutilized tool for a lot of brands. And it's going to result in a lot of growth. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great question. And I'm really familiar with the Orange Theory fitness model. So that business model is a franchise model where they sell territories. People buy the territories and own the territories for expansion. And Orange Theory has a very significant, what I'll call kind of brick and mortar presence. I don't know that TB12 will ever get to the number of locations, and I don't think we have the ambitions to have, the franchising model at scale that Orange Theory has. That said, we're certainly looking to aggressively expand our brick and mortar footprint. We're looking to expand into several key metropolitan markets. And the thing that we've learned is that we kind of have two models. So with Boston and Foxborough, we have these bigger format centers where we have athletic space and treatment rooms to do our approach to therapy. But in Tampa, for example, where we opened a smaller center, it looks much more kind of like a medical facility. It's smaller format, but what we're seeing is that we're able to really efficiently treat people in those locations. We've also had several awesome partnerships we've launched recently, most notably with the Wynn Casino out in Vegas. That's been all over the news the last few weeks. So I think for us, it's really... It's not necessarily the number of doors, it's the impact of doors, if you will, because our flywheel is really in having the TB12 method is really what we're selling, or really what we're trying to share with the world. And the centers are part of that, our products are part of that. And so the idea is to have, impact and presence in these markets that can then, drive people to our digital experience and really have it all integrated. So I certainly see very rapid expansion. I think we have 8 or 9 brick and mortar between partnerships and owned centers right now. And I think that number will grow exponentially in the years ahead, but just likely not to the scale in terms of footprint that Orange Theory has. Does that answer your question? Cool.
Thanks, Alfred. Any other questions? Oh.
What types of analytics and KPIs do your business model?
I'm happy to answer that one, Brady. I feel like I've been talking a lot. You want me to go first? Okay. So I think that every business has like a different philosophy when it comes to KPIs and what's important. During my time at TB12, that's evolved and changed even during my time at TB12. So when I joined and with a lot of the prior members of our organization, we were very much focused on retention marketing and ROAS specifically. That was kind of the guiding light. And as we've transitioned the business, I've taken more of a role, and we brought on a new team member as well, Jeremy, who has been fantastic, and I've loved every second of working with him and learned a ton from him. We've really been focused more on top of funnel, and really I would say the single guiding light in terms of KPI for us is new to brand customers, especially in the more challenging retail climate or e-commerce climate. We don't want to spend more than we have to on some of our bottom of the funnel activations. So it's really about having that wide funnel at the top, bringing new customers in, and obviously doing so at a cost that makes sense for the business. So really what we look at is, lifetime value of the consumer by cohort, and then we try to figure out a customer acquisition cost that makes sense to where, we'll have reasonable profitability 18 to 24 months down the line. So that's probably our guiding light when it comes to like overall e-commerce strategy. And then within the specific channels, we have Klaviyo for email, we have Attentive for SMS, social as well, a lot of these different channels. And I think the key for each business is really defining what the goal is for each channel. So for us, email and SMS they're largely conversion channels for us. So that's been our guiding light there. Whereas some of our other activations like social, they might be more about brand building and general awareness. So I'm happy to elaborate on it further, but in general I would say having a really robust top of funnel and making sure we have those new to brand customers, that's our guiding light right now.
For us, we started working with Trellis and we moved to Shopify to boost our conversion rates for customers. So it's been all about that for us for the past year. I mentioned it before, but the biggest thing for our company right now is just to really shore up all of our email marketing, making sure everyone that comes to the site is put into the proper funnel for what they need. So product specific to them. If they haven't bought for a year, they're likely to come back and buy a dining set if they bought a sectional set the year before. So really putting the right things in front of them for us is what we think is going to really make our next couple of years. So,
I wanted to add one more thing to what I said, because one of the things that I've been learning a lot about recently too has been, going back to the question about tougher economic times ahead. One of the things I've been seeing kind of across the board has been, the new to brand customer, that top of funnel, can be a little stagnant right now for a lot of brands. It can be hard to attract new customers. So one of the things I have seen a general pivot toward, it might not be our strategy, but as I look to other companies, that focus on retention and really maximizing the value of returning customers in a challenging economic climate. I mean, brands know that those are the customers that are interested and that have converted, and it can be easier to remarket to those people and try to maximize the dollars from current customers. So that is something I wanted to add as like kind of an addendum to my original note, because I do think that's a transition we'll see in the times ahead.
I think there, yeah, go ahead.
Sure. So for AR, I mean, it's coming, it's here, it's kind of one of the sexy things everyone's talking about. For our specific products, I don't think we're all the way there yet. I mean, it's great for a bar stool in your kitchen, or if you want to see, the size of a lamp on your desk. For, a large set that you're putting on your patio, it's not quite there yet. We're embracing it. We want it to be awesome, but we're not going to roll it out on our website until we feel like it's perfect. Until then, we're doing some testing with certain products just to see how sticky website visitors are with those versus sets that don't have it. But until we're fully confident that it's working as well as actually seeing the set in your space, we won't roll it out to the whole site just yet.
Yeah, and I think, as it relates to TB12, I rewind a little bit. So thinking back to COVID, we had these centers, and really the core of our services was in-person treatments. And there's really, as we talk about our business, there's no alternative to that, like hands-on body manual therapy, right? And so, but with COVID, we were forced to pivot, and we pivoted towards doing virtual sessions and finding ways to connect with people in their homes and via technology. And I think, as challenging as those times were, it really did show us the future, and it showed us the roadmap of what an integrated physical and digital offering could look like for our brand. And with that, I think we took a lot of inspiration from that, and we've been working to re-engineer and rethink our app experience. And as part of that, a lot of what we want to do is have, and we've seen a huge movement with it. There's great brands that are leading at the forefront with whether it's a Whoop or an Oura Ring, really this idea of connected fitness and being able to track your health either through a wearable or through technology or through the Internet of Things. And that's certainly, we don't want to lose our specialty, which is that person-to-person connection. But what we really want to do is enhance it and entrench it and use technology to reach an even bigger audience than we would be in terms of in-person. So as part of that, we're working, whether it's body scanning, being able to track movements. One good example is when someone comes into our centers, they go through like a gait analysis to measure, how does your stride or the weight in which you're putting on your body, how might that impact kind of stress on your joints? And that's something that, while it's great to do it like in person, you can also do it digitally through tracking technology. So we're constantly thinking about all the ways in which we can utilize technology to help people have better health outcomes, and then also for us to gain more intimacy and be able to have touch points and tracking and really integrate with our consumers or our clients in a digital setting through our technology. So I think for us, it's really just all about taking that integrated approach. And I'm sure it's the same thing with you, Brady. Like, there's no alternative to that person-to-person customer service. There's no that face-to-face session isn't going away anytime soon, I don't think. But it's really just about how do you marry the two and create an ecosystem where one feeds the other. And that's really our focus moving forward.
How are we doing on, thank you. How are we doing on time? Doing all right? Okay. Any other questions? All right. I'll go with one more here. We'll start with you, Brady. What's in the next 12 months? What's at high level? What's next for your brand?
It's a great question. For us, I would say AR is what we want. We'll see what happens there. I think the next 3 months are focused really around generating content. Google just changed their algorithm. All of our rankings just shifted in huge ways. So our whole next 6 months is just all hands on deck, content, video, all the questions that people ask. We want to have a video answer for that. We want to have a page for it. We want to put it on every channel. And that's our priority right now, really for the next 6 months.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, and we're busy at TB12. We're doing a lot of building right now. So I mentioned that over the last year or so, we rebuilt our tech stack. We rethought a lot of the way that we did things from a digital perspective. We've grown the brand presence significantly on Amazon as well. And so really, when I look at the last 12 months, it was really about shoring our lines, building a really solid foundation upon which we could scale the business, and having the right architecture to really support, and the right people to support that growth. That said, I think we made great headway, and now the next 6 to 12 months are really about taking those structural changes now that we have our solid base, and how do we really grow and scale in a meaningful and sustainable way. And so for us, that looks like the center expansion that I spoke about. Rethinking, tweaking our product roadmap in a way where everything's really integrated and we're selling. I think for us, it's all about solutions. Like, consumers are looking for health and wellness solutions where it's almost like prescribable in a way where we're giving people a roadmap to follow. We're giving them protocols that can help them. So that kind of removing some of the guesswork out of health and wellness. So rethinking that product map, and then ultimately, bringing that to a far wider audience, both through our centers, through our retail expansion, and very much so through our digital experience, and continuing to grow online as well.
Great, thank you. Any other questions from the audience?
Tom Brady going to do better next week?
I certainly hope so. I know Tom hasn't been exactly thrilled with his performance to date this season. I think for me, like, the part that's been crazy about watching him is, even though I know the numbers haven't been what he wants the first few weeks, the fluidity and just like the movement, he looks like he's still young, and so that's been really cool to see. So I'm definitely confident that moving forward, the numbers are going to align with how he looks, and I think the Bucs are going to have a really great season ahead.
It is, as somebody who follows this way too much, the velocity on his passes, it looks like 2002. It's absolutely unbelievable, and I hope he apologized to the tablets that he broke.
Yeah, I know he was definitely frustrated, and yeah, I mean, the really, like, his training has been the difference. Alex Guerrero, our other co-founder, I was talking to him before the season, and they were working really hard to make sure he was prepared. And yeah, I mean, at least for me, like, the thing that's really cool is taking like football out of it, to see the way Tom has been willing to evolve, has been willing to challenge status quo, think about how he's doing things, and try to do things in a different way. When I go to work every day at TB12, that's the part that's so profound, is that I just need to do the same thing he does, but apply it to my work. And I think for all of us e-commerce people, it's how are we going to evolve? How are we going to continue to focus? How are we going to continue to grow together and challenge that status quo? So yeah, hopefully great times ahead.
Great. And I'm pausing if anybody wants to jump in with a question before I keep going here. Brady, is your site headless today? And feel free, if yes or no, give your opinion on just headless and how you feel it can help.
I don't have a great opinion on headless. I had never heard of it until I was prepping for this conference.
Oh, okay. All right.
So
okay.
Not a lot to add.
Yeah, I can speak to that one as well. So I mentioned during my time, and we have a panel later, so I won't spoil too much. But during my time at TB12, we started as a headless site. I think the headless technology has come a long way, and it's been made a lot easier in the time since we were a headless site. But we did transition to being a Shopify Plus centric storefront. I think for me, it all comes down to business life cycle, core competency of the team, and core competency of the product. And I think that it's for businesses, it's really all about figuring out what the right fit is for them, kind of based on those guiding principles. And for us, it's been a really positive change to be Shopify centric. It's made our team more agile. We're able to handle more in-house. And with a startup, speed is everything. And I think that's been a big part of the transition back. But I think headless also obviously has some fantastic use cases for other brands, especially at a larger scale.
Great. Thank you. Yeah.